Hello, thank you for choosing my pattern for these mouse ears, and welcome to the video tutorial for assembly. So first off, what you're going to do here is you are going to take your headband and your hot glue gun, and you are just going to apply a little bit of hot glue to the end of that headband there, and then you are going to attach your yarn and slowly start wrapping it around. You want to make sure that you're getting all of the loops nice and close together so you don't have big gaps where you're seeing the color of the headband underneath. And you're just going to wrap that all the way around the headband. Now this takes a second, but it does look pretty nice in the end, and it's a really simple way to make your headband the right color. There are also ways to crochet basically a covering over the headband, but I just find those to be a little more chunky and I prefer doing it like this. But if you know how to do one of those headband coverings and you want to, then by all means, go ahead, do whatever you prefer. And then once you hit the end here, you are just going to apply a little bit more hot glue there and then wrap the yarn over that hot glue. Make sure it is nice and secure. Add a little more hot glue if you need to. And then you will take your scissors and just cut off the end of that string there. And that completes wrapping your headband. Next, what you're going to do is attach ribbon at the ends. It just gives it a really nice finish and it helps clean up those raw edges there. So what you're going to do is I like to leave a little bit of extra ribbon on the side there, and then you're going to apply some hot glue about halfway on that ribbon, and then you're just going to fold it over the end of the headband and hold that there. Wait for it to dry. And then what I like to do is take that little bit of extra on the end and fold it over. I just feel like it secures it a little more and helps keep that end looking nice. Gonna add a little more hot glue just to secure it. And then you will take the rest of that ribbon and you will start slowly wrapping it around. And you'll wrap it just a few times around the headband. Make sure it looks nice and clean and tidy. See how there's a bit of that diagonal slant there? That's why I just wrap it one more time. And anytime I am ending off and cutting off a piece of ribbon or string, I always like to do it on the inside part of the headband just so that you don't see it on the outside. You're going to glue that down and then you are going to cut it off, and you will do that same thing on both sides. It just looks nice and finished off there like you would see on some other headbands. Next, we are going to take the bow, and right now you just kind of have this rectangle, and what I like to do is pinch it right in the middle first and then fold it in on the sides just because it adds a few more folds in the bow, and I think it looks nice. But of course you can always just fold it in half. You don't have to do the extra fold, but that's just what I like to do. And then you will grab your string and you'll want to tie it around the center of that bow there. Be very careful not to let it go. And you'll just tie it in a little knot to start off. Make sure that you keep that string centered, because once you've wrapped it around a lot, it's very difficult to adjust. So make sure it's centered. And then you'll kind of wrap it and tie it a couple of times just to make sure that it's nice and secure. Here we're wrapping it once, and then we're wrapping it through again. And then one more time. And then tying it off. And then you're going to take the extra string, and you're going to want this string to be pretty long so that as you're wrapping it, you have plenty of yarn and you don't run out. And then you are just going to start very tightly wrapping it around that center of the bow. And it'll create that nice fold, and it'll hold your bow in place. You want to make sure it's nice and tight. Then I'm going to take a needle and thread my yarn through. Sometimes you might want to twist the end of the yarn a little bit if you're having trouble getting it through the eye of the needle. So you'll be pulling it through a little bit, and you'll want to stick it through the sides of the wraps that you have made on the bow. Except I accidentally did this on the front here. You'll want to wrap it around to the back one more time and stick it through on the back there so that it's easier to attach to the headband. And then you'll want to take your headband and make sure you know where you want the bow to go so that you can make sure that that bow is centered, because it'll help you keep the ears themselves centered. And then here you see me making that correction of pulling the yarn through on the back side instead. Make sure you're happy with the placement of your bow. And then you are going to stick your needle through that yarn that you have wrapped around on the top there. And you'll just thread it through. And then you will stitch the yarn back through the center of the bow there. You want to make sure that the yarn doesn't get wrapped around the headband like it did for me just there. You want to make sure that you're pulling this nice and tight, but you also want to make sure that the bow is closer to the front of the headband so that it lays nice. And then you'll want to thread it back through again. Pulling it nice and tight once again. And then thread it through the center of that bow. Next, what you'll want to do there is you're going to tie it off. So just insert the needle on the opposite side from where the yarn just came through again. And you will tie it off. And then what you'll want to do just to finish off the assembly of the bow is that you kind of want to thread this excess, a little bit of this excess yarn through. You want to weave in that end just a little bit to hide it so that when you pull it through and cut it off, you have a seamless finish there where you don't see the string. And here you just cut it off. And now that completes the assembly of your bow to the headband. If you want your bow to just be a little more secure and stay a little more still, you can take your hot glue gun and you can glue just a little bit right underneath that bow there, and it'll help keep it in place and ensure it is nice and secure. Now just press that down to make sure the glue holds and let it cool. And next you are going to be taking your ears to attach them to the headband as well. You will take a needle threaded with the yellow yarn, and you will kind of place those on the ears just to see where you like them, see where they line up on the back of the bow. That'll help you get it in the right spot. Space them evenly and correctly. And you will see where that ear lines up with on the inner part closer to the bow, and you'll thread that through and tie it. And don't worry, with that tail you'll kind of be able to hide it as you sew on the ears, as long as you keep it tucked underneath the ears. You shouldn't be able to see it. You can twist it around a few times if that helps. Make sure it is where you want it on the headband before you begin stitching it on. And now you will begin sewing the ears to the headband. You will want to wrap it, you will want this to wrap around the underside of the ears. This is why most of the time I prefer to make the headband color the same as the ear color, just so that when I attach the ears, it's really difficult to see where you've sewed it on. And as long as you pull it tight enough, it should blend in seamlessly with where you have wrapped it. And you don't want to insert your needle right on that border there. You'll want to go just a little bit higher, just because it anchors your ears down to the headband a little more. So I would go maybe 1 or 2 rows higher than the border, but on the front side I like to kind of angle it down to come out where that border is, just because it makes it look a little neater and nicer. You'll probably want to pull the string a little tighter than I did here as you're feeding it through, just for as much of a seamless look as possible. And you will continue doing this, and you will go until you'll go for maybe about 1 inch or 2 until you feel the ears have been secured enough to your headband, and you feel like they've been attached far enough. And if you need to go back and forth a little bit as well, you can do that. Sometimes I realize I feel like I missed a little bit of a spot or something's uneven, so then I go back a little bit, and that's totally okay. And you'll continue doing this all the way until that ear is fully attached and anchored down. And then once you have that wrapped around as much as you would like, you'll want to take that string on the needle and just thread it through just a couple loops there and tie that off. And you'll want to tie it again just once or twice just to make sure it is nice and secure there. And then you can go ahead and stick the needle up through the ears in order to finish it off. And you can go ahead and cut off that string. And there is the first ear complete and attached to the headband. And I've gone ahead and attached the second ear as well. This is what they will look like when they're complete and they're all done. Something else you can do is you can also put a little bit of hot glue just right behind where the bow connects to the ears. Sometimes I feel it gives it a little more stability. So there you have your completed Mickey ears. I really hope that this tutorial was helpful. If you have any issues or questions, just let me know. You can reach out to me via Etsy, and I will be more than happy to help you with in any way that I can. And I hope you enjoy your finished product. Thank you.